15 years ago, there's a huge wave of activities took place as a result of knowledge management, and then introduced the importance of capturing the knowledge, and organizations did so. Now all of a sudden we have AI intelligence that does not resonate necessarily with the organization.
If there were an Olympic event for juggling enterprise systems, digital innovation, and 200 plus research papers, our guest today wouldn't just medal, he would organize the event, write the post match report, and casually align it with UN Sustainable Development Goals. He's the kind of academic who makes ERP systems sound like a dinner party story. And we are lucky to have him here today. Welcome to another episode of School to Startup, brought to you by Traction, a private market intelligence platform that's been supporting the global startup ecosystem for over a decade now. Through our university partnerships, we work with institutions driving innovation and entrepreneurship. And this series highlights the academic leaders making that happen. I'm Harish, your host today, and joining us is Dr. Darshana, Associate Dean of International and Engagement at Southern Cross University. He's also a professor, researcher, system thinker, and chair of more innovation circle than most of us have group chats. Dr. Darshana, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Harish. Thanks for the kind words. Thank you.
Great. So I have to ask this before we get too deep into serious stuff. You have published over 200 papers, led global research, chaired enterprise system groups, run entrepreneurship circles. When do you actually sleep? Or is your life secretly managed by a hidden ERP dashboard that rest of us don't have access to?
Well, Harish, I mean, first of all, I must also say that when I write 200, some other people write 400, 500. So, the world is made up of so many giants, and the likes that have featured in your series as well. For us to do, and when I say not just me, but the academic community, for us to do this, we have tremendous networks that we tap into. We have some of the best academics in the world, in Australia and outside the Australia, which I've had the privilege to work with. And same for young academics as well. Today, the communities are much more vibrant, much more collaborative, and that's the only reason that one could do so many things if they choose to do so. So we have a fantastic network of academics who've supported me, companies who've supported me, and the universities are increasingly becoming research oriented and innovation oriented and practical oriented. So as a result, we achieve, as a collective mass, as academics, we achieve much more so than what we used to do, which is a very good thing for the world.
Very impressive. So let's rewind a bit. Where did this journey begin? Did you always imagine yourself becoming a professor or a dean, or was academia the most unexpected plot twist?
Absolutely an unexpected pathway. I've never dreamt of becoming an academic. But having said that, my mom was a principal in a cluster of schools, and my dad is a very well-known author and a doctorate himself. But none of that probably influenced me that much when I was growing up. But when I migrated to Australia, I'm originally from Sri Lanka. When I migrated to Australia, it just happened to me that the university system provided me with the opportunity to think beyond the textbook, which led me to the opportunity of getting into a little bit of dip into the research side of things. Got me really interested in, and then I saw a career for thinking, a career for doing something new, and I've truly enjoyed it. And it's been about 20 years, and So it's a tremendous journey for me.
Very interesting. So you have worked across borders, industries, and disciplines. What's been one of the most surprising or memorable or even funny moment from your research or teaching career?
Yeah, so I mean, again, when you go back 20 years, so there are a lot of aha moments and a lot of moments that we have celebrated, as well as moments that we have looked back and thought that, oh, we could have probably done things differently. Um, I work. I'm very fortunate actually to work in a cusp of business and technology. And it's also happened to be, perhaps if you take the last 2 decades where I had been an academic for, probably had been the most disruptive time period in the realm of technology and also in business, in the history of business. True that you had the industrial revolution and etc. But what had happened after the dot com, after the Y2K, after the ERP, after then the cloud, the mobility, the mobile phones, the mobility, the ubiquity that introduced it, the app stores that came with it, blockchain, uh, and now to AI. This all happened in the last 10, 20 years. And in these 20 years, as an academic, so it had been a truly a privilege to see where this technology had been used differently, where things have failed. So I look at the technology use in the organizations, just like your introduction said, in the typical traditional ERP systems and etc. I also look at how the technology has been transforming individuals like us who are not part of an employment organization, but individually, how it treats us. And the users of an organization who are trying to use these ERP systems or other systems that are there for the productivity and efficiency gains. And in between, you also have the social transformations that take place as a result of technology. So, Arish, to answer your question in an indirect way, uh, I, I can give you a couple of projects that are truly exciting right now in the space of technology and business and the human behavior side of things, where most of my research take place. One would be like, we all know artificial intelligence is one of the biggest the movers and shakers in the world right now. What we look at and when I say we, I got a team of individuals working with me as well. We look at some slightly unique, different angles. One of the projects we look at, Hariji, is about uh, AI and knowledge. So artificial intelligence, you call it. But if you look at the past, let's say, um, 15 years ago, there's a huge, like a tremendous wave of activities took place as a result of knowledge management, like the works of Tom Davenport and Prusak, and then introduced the importance of capturing the knowledge. And organizations did so. A lot of emphasis on capturing organizational data, organizational knowledge made it so. Now, all of a sudden, we have AI, intelligence that is beyond the organization, intelligence that does not resonate necessarily with the organization. How does an organization take use of AI in light of their current knowledge base, tacit and explicit? We look at from different angles. It's quite warming to see how, while the technology is moving so fast, so rapidly, still the fundamental notions of knowledge, intelligence, productivity remain quite resilient and quite uh, not well understood. Some of the other projects include, we look at, let's say, artificial intelligence use. You may use ChatGPT or any of the other commercially available products, just as a user, not in an organization. And how an agnostic workplace is created around you. And what I mean by that is a typical Gen AI could be used for anything from writing a song to creating a image to making your documents to understanding and analyzing and etc. in one system, which means that now the task is agnostic in relation to the system. This is a profound change. We have never seen this ever in relation to systems. So in few years, my expectation is that a CEO or a manager in an organization, doesn't have to be a CEO, but a manager in an organization would only have a single input screen where they would query in whatever they would like, and where the artificial intelligence would be able to fetch and do and deliver and conduct that, either a report or a productivity order or a purchase order or a sales order, etc. This is a different kind of a system that we'll be faced with. So the kind of questions that, what interests me are those very fundamental things that we look at. On the other hand, Harish, I'm also looking at, when I say that I look at the individual's impact on technology, I look at the dark side of technology as well. And the dark side typically involves in how the technology has a negative impact on you. An easy one to begin with would be cyberbullying. So we got a couple of very highly established top-tier publications on cyberbullying. And we looked at, in that cyberbullying studies, we looked at how analyzing some court cases on cyberbullying, how cyberbullying actually takes place. Right? Where does it start? And how sometimes cyberbullying takes place from the physical environment and then taken to the digital environment, as opposed to completely digital native or digitally born cyberbullying scheme. We looked at things like digital hoarding. You may have heard about hoarding as a collection of things, right? But what about digital hoarding? Again, a very, very well-cited publication that I've co-authored and done research on is on this digital hoarding notion, collecting digital assets. And on the similar vein, we are doing some research, and have also been published on digital perfectionism, how we think that everything should be perfect, like the screen right now we're on. It's absolutely centered, immaculate, sound is good. This is a perfectionism that digital wants us to be. And this is not the reality, however. When we move away from this screen, away to the reality is not perfect. How do we clash, or how do individuals clash with these things? Digital vandalism, self-view. I can see myself in the screen. That gives me a little bit of a different feeling, because I have never seen this kind of a conversation. When I speak in public, I don't see myself. Here I do. What sort of implications does that bring in? And to the organizational side as well. Like you mentioned, the ERP. My PhD dissertation is on enterprise systems and how enterprise systems should generate value, the value proposition, which is the ultimate equation of any technology. But it's not. Enterprise systems could be a perfect solution, but in more than 50% of organizations, enterprise systems fail or fail to deliver the absolute outcomes that they wrote in a business case. Why is this so? So these are like summarizing perhaps the 20 years of various research perspectives, and you'll be able to see like where I take a slant, a step at, is a kind of a different way to see where the technology and the human interaction takes place.
Very interesting. Before we deep dive, this is for our viewers. If you are enjoying this conversation, go ahead and like this video, drop a comment and your biggest insight, and subscribe to the Traction channel. We have got more unfiltered deep dive episodes just like this, and you'll definitely want to click that bell icon so you don't miss what's coming next. Right. So, Dr. Darshana, one of your recent studies talks about orchestrating digital tools alongside legacy systems. For founders listening and watching in, how do they balance innovation and stability without turning into accidental systems or architects?
Yeah, this is Harish, I think, one of the interesting as well as struggling points for organizations. Now, on one side, there's this huge technological transformation that is taking place. The technology itself is changing. So, on the other hand, your organization is embedded in an environment that probably is the most competitive and the volatile market that we've ever seen in humanity. You know, they're political, they're geological, they're geopolitical, they're economic. Tensions are so much. So the organization is embedded in, from one side, in a context where everything is changing. And on the other hand, technology, which is supposed to be the trigger or the enabler to do something in the organization, is also changing. Changing at a pace, Harish, that is perhaps not uh, palatable to an organization, because you would like, just like when you plant a tree, you would like it to grow and then give us fruit, right? You don't want the next crop to come immediately. Oh, no, no, this is better than the earlier one. That is sort of what is happening in organizations. So now, when an organization, for example, invests, let's say, $100 million or so in an enterprise system, to see the value, they would like it to be stable. They would like it to be giving the solutions what they had anticipated for a reasonable period of time. But at the same time, things are changing outside. At the same time, uh, technology is changing. For example, with enterprise systems, you would then have mobility, you would then have cloud, you would then have blockchain, you would then have analytics, you would then have social media. Now, all of those things then are demanded by the consumers. They're demanded by the consumers. They would ask the question that, yeah, I know your brick and mortar industry. Let's say if you're a bank, you're a brick and mortar industry, but I don't care. I really need you to be on socials, and not just to simply say that, hey, we got the best interest rate. No, I want it to be a connected service to me, right? I want it to be mobile. I want it to check my bank balance every 3 seconds if I so wish to do so. Now, this adds tremendous pressure to the entire ecosystem that builds solutions to organizations. And when I say the ecosystem, not just to the organization itself, Harish, but also to the outsourcing partners, right? Most of the technologies are now outsourced in for large organizations, that they would develop it outside the organization. There's tremendous pressure on the integration partners, those who come and stitch these joints together. Because why? Every time something new changes, they have to restitch, they have to outsource, they have to reevaluate the value propositions. And the organizations are somewhat in a cycle of doing this, and this cycle is spinning at a much more rapid pace than what they would ideally like. Now, as a result of this, what we've done, Harish, is that we've looked at, again, the fundamental nature. The fundamental nature does not change, whether it's technology or what kind of technology, that doesn't really matter, but how an incumbent technology is merged with a new technology. What happens as a result of, which we call orchestration. And one of the most prominent research papers, or a series of papers that you rightly cited, we've looked at this orchestration process. We've looked at the orchestration process, how it takes place in organizations. Again, looking at the fundamentals, not looking at a technology per se, but the fundamental nature of it. And when the fundamentals are understood for organizations too, they could use this as a framework for them to understand, is this the right time to bring a technology? Is this the right technology to be brought in? And if so, how do we bring it? What are the nature of the fundamental characteristics, philosophical characteristics that one should identify in relation to technologies to bring them together or to bring them forward? And also we looked at, Harish, when the incumbent is brought in together with the new technologies, what happens to the users? Because see, imagine now the users had been using a system, let's say even for 6 months. I've invested my time, I've invested my energy. The organization has put in training to train me to do this system. And all of a sudden something comes and says like, oh no, no more. There's a new thing or a new spin on it. So there's the biasness that we've looked at through status quo bias. how the individuals resist to these changes, and how organizations could minimize such changes. And there have been, Harish, there are incidents where organizations have gone to a solution, a new solution, and only to have come back to the original solution after a few months. We've studied those things as well, and we've looked at how the status quo changes when going forward and going backwards, and which aspects should organizations emphasize in their change management initiatives. So it's a cogwheel of many facets. So it's not just one thing that we've looked at as a stream of research over probably a good 10-year period, with multiple organizations, with multiple rounds of surveys and interviews conducted.
This is amazing. So you also lead executive seminars and innovation circles at SCU. What's the most unexpected place you have seen a genuinely great startup idea emerge? A classroom debate, or a hallway chat, or a caffeine fueled rant?
Yeah, Harish, like the in most of the entrepreneurs that I have met with, much of their entrepreneurships have stemmed from technology. And that could be slightly biased because I'm in the space of technology and business, and I'm selecting those who are enjoying that as well. Now, if you now look at again the fundamentals, Harish, most entrepreneurs that I have met with had the same technologies available to them. Most, they would have absolutely the same technologies available to them, because technology today is next to free. Right now, it would cost them very little, if not they could go on a kind of a subscription model. But the important aspect that I have picked up in all of those conversations is that the issue that they tried to solve became personal. It became personal to them. And I've again had the privilege of um, discussing, meeting, and also bringing them to the entrepreneur circle at Southern Cross. Some of the Forbes 40 under 40 entrepreneurs in the world, and many of them, when I speak to them, many of them, the issue that they try to solve was directly to their close to their heart. One of the top examples that I could give is from India, Jayant Jha, the CEO of Yantra, now part of Flipkart, I believe, um, came up with Yantra only because he couldn't change his phone at the correct time. The phone was broken. I need to change it. Now, this is such a simple thing. You and I would deal with this thing on a day-to-day basis. And my nearest phone shop is X kilometers away, and I don't have the time to do that. What do I do? And it allows us to, now, when the problem is individualized, it allows us to find a solution that actually genuinely fulfills my need. So what I have observed with the entrepreneurs is that, one, the technology was available. Number two, they picked up something that is dear to their heart, either painful to their heart or dear to their heart, and they created a solution that mixed these things together in the right way. And when I say what's the right way, well, the right way is that the technology must be able to grow with the growth of the company.
Very interesting. The similar ideology, was used to get the traction as well. Our founders, being the investors, back in 2013, they weren't able to find the ideal startups or the ideal sectors to invest in. So they came up with this platform. I'll brief
Wow.
you on that later. But zooming out, you work across research, startups, and entrepreneurship policy. Is there one myth about innovation in universities or startup spaces that you wish we would all stop repeating?
So Harish, sorry, I missed the last part of the question, Harish.
Okay, I was just asking, is
Sorry.
there any one myth about innovation in universities and startup
Yeah.
where everybody can stop repeating it?
Well, um, if there's one myth, I think the myth would be around the. I mean, there's a myth about financial viability. There's a myth about technology's capabilities, and there's a myth about scalability. Right. I think there are quite a few myths that we could find if we continue the conversation. But if you imagine the very first three, I think in all entrepreneurs' journeys, and in fact we have subjects at Southern Cross on entrepreneurs' journey as well. These three aspects come to fruition or come to light at a point in time in entrepreneur's career or entrepreneur's journey. Why are there myths today? Because, like your own example that you mentioned, right? The people will fund if the possibilities are visible or viable. Technology will be available if it is possible or viable. So the ecosystem that we have around the entrepreneurship to support this today is not how it used to be, let's say 5 6 years ago or even a decade ago, right? So in my view of thinking is that I don't think today that there is a shortage of capital. I don't think that there is a shortage of technology capabilities. I don't think there is a shortage of customers. So I think these are the kind of things that the universities and the entrepreneurs should work together to iron out.
Interesting. So this question probably you would have answered a number of times. Let's say someone watching is just getting started, whether in academia or as a founder. What's your one piece of advice to stay grounded and adaptable in a world where it is evolving faster than we think sometimes? Google it.
Yeah, I think Harish, I think entrepreneurs. I mean, we know the statistics. Most of the startups die in their first 3 or 6 months, right? About 90% of them die. Most of the apps die in their first 3 weeks of being launched in any of the platforms. um, so it's a very brutal competitive environment. Customers are provided with a lot of options these days. Now, we are today meeting on Meet, Google Meet. We could have met with Zoom, we could have met on Teams, we could have done this on a number of other platforms, but we have chosen this. And same with any other thing that we take for entrepreneurs today. It's like you want to eat something, now there are thousands of options available. And all those thousands of options available are competing for one thing: customer attention. We all have, as customers, we only have 24 hours. So they're competing for that time, they're competing for that space. We will make one call today on Google Meet, yet we'll have probably hundreds, if not thousands, of options available to have this same communication. The devices are exactly the same. The examples that we could give are in number of things we take. We will have exponentially larger options available to a customer. Now, in that, it's very, very important the entrepreneur picks up the correct segment that you're working on. Which customer niche that am I going to serve? And all this data today is available. And there are plenty of opportunities also for entrepreneurs to work on these places as well, because the world is not the 100% efficient workplace as the whole collective world, whether it's India, whether it's Japan, whether it's China, US, or the Europe. It's exactly the same thing. The potential to improve human life as we know it, is much, there's a lot of potential for us to do that. Now, for us to engage in one particular aspect as an entrepreneur, you must, in my view, if they want to pick one, They got to pick the correct customer niche, the problem that they're trying to solve for a unique, particular group of individuals. And for you to identify that group, there are plenty of opportunities now because the entire world is full of data, full of analytics that you can identify, prototype them, test them. And when I say prototype, not the product itself, but the idea prototyping. And work on those to fine tune what you're truly offering. And the once you have it, once you're on the ground, once you have launched it, the next important thing obviously will be to retain your customers, treat them like, you know, kings or queens, for you to retain them and in a way possible for you to get long-term benefit. Because again, finding customers, the retention, this is one of the key critical things in entrepreneurship.
Right. Very interesting. And lastly, where can people learn more about your work, your research journey, or maybe sneak into one of your entrepreneurship circles?
Yeah, so Harish, I currently work at Southern Cross University. Southern Cross is a public Australian university. We're located in Gold Coast. Again, like Gold Coast is cheekily referred to as the Silicon Coast of Australia. A lot of entrepreneurship, a lot of technology is being developed, and it's a beautiful coastal land that we belong to. So visit Southern Cross website. That's number one. You'd find not just my research, but my group of individuals, colleagues, and others who work on very, very interesting research topics. Number two is obviously, do a simple Google search and see. Then you will find all the interesting articles and papers that we've published. And if you find it difficult to get access, drop me an email, and I'm always replying to my emails, and I'm more than happy to send you the details.
That's great. So all the links and email ID will be on the description. You can go through it and connect with Dr. Darshana. Thank you very much, Dr. Darshana. Today's conversation with you gave us a masterclass in how enterprise system innovation and global collaboration actually come together without the jargon, actually. Thank you so much again for being
Thanks,
part of
Harish.
this
Thanks for
episode.
having me.
And to all our viewers, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you never miss an episode. We'll catch you in the next one.